Hi, I'm Josanne Wright Callender, the author of the Happy Little Garbage Truck picture book and educational program. It's been a while. I had just the pleasure of visiting a school and doing a reading for a friend of mine and actually another teacher in her school. It seems as though, children just love this format. And I was this one classroom had such great questions on how I wrote the book, who was my illustrator, and believe it or not, these were preschoolers. Just it was amazing to me. But I'm happy to say that I just enjoyed reading, and the children loved hearing the adventures of the happy little garbage truck. And also, I went when I came. I presented my friend and the teacher in the school with a copy of my teacher's guide, which has some wonderful ideas, and you could see all of the materials that come with the Happy Little Garbage Truck on Amazon. But getting back to where I left off about a week ago, we were talking about how in Nancy Eisenberg and Richard Fabes' article that dysregulation, which is something that many teachers are just really handling as best they can. And a friend of mine that I'm doing a workshop with said that this was the key issue for most teachers, special education teachers, and gen ed, was how to handle dysregulation. So this article by Nancy Eisenberg and Richard Fabes, Emotional Regulation and Children's Social Emotional Competence, was an article that I found very interesting because they talked about what they saw was the key was empathy. And so that led me to this article by Jill Suttie, Unselfie Why Sympathetic Kids Succeed in Our All About Me World. She lists the 7 tips from a book that this is like kind of like a long Shaggy Dog, Shaggy Dog story joke, but it's not a joke. It's just, there are so many pieces to this and it keeps unfolding. But I think we're getting closer and closer to what really matters in teaching our children. This book by Michelle Borda, The Unselfie, is actually by Michelle Borda, Why Empathetic Kids Succeed in Our All About Me World, was synopsized by Jill Suttie in a 2016 article, way before COVID, but we know that COVID had an impact on many people between feelings of depression, isolation. Well, children were no different. And we are now looking at how can we um, take care of our children's social emotional state through whatever means, because this is what's causing them to feel dysregulated. It's unfamiliar, uncertain times, and as adults we also experienced a lot of those same feelings. But children, they don't have anything, they don't have the experience and the life skills that many of us do that helped us cope. But empathy can be taught. So the first of the 7 steps was to help our children develop a moral identity. And I thought this was intriguing because it didn't seem to fit in with empathy in itself. But the researchers, this author, Mrs. Borda said, found that children from 3 to 6 years old if they were praised for what they did, they were less likely to act more generously in the future than a person who was said or praised for being a helpful person. So instead of the actions being praised, it's the person. So this is what she felt was the beginning of um, trying to emphasize that the child become a moral person by giving them a moral identity. And that comes from just saying, wow, you were so wonderful to think about getting me a glass of water. And, that's because you're a very thoughtful person. So you're implanting those key skills or ways of being in a child by your compliments. And then this article by Lawrence Kohlberg that I read, he's actually created this theory of moral development, and it came from Piaget, who made the connection between cognitive development and moral development, back years ago. And this was the basis of Kohlberg's theory of, he used Piaget's theory to develop his developmental theory of moral reasoning. And he starts with, believe it or not, at that early age, saying that what the child first learns is the pre-conventional level of moral development. And that's the understanding of a child that it comes from a person who may be punishing them. And if he gets a punishment or is given a consequence, then he knows that the behavior that he did must, or she did, must be bad. But if there's a reward after an action or a behavior, then they believe that it must be good. It's just as simple as that. And, this is why I know a lot of behaviorists make sure that they automatically, immediately treat a child when the behavior is good. And that helps the child can make that connection between, oh, what I did was worthy of a reward, not just at a girl or at a boy, but, maybe something tangible, which we always did. So this builds within the child that understanding that, oh, my behaviors can be rewarded or given a consequence. That's simple. So we're going to go on to the next level of development next time. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please share. And we're going to move through each of these steps of that progressive nature of how to build empathy. And I linked my articles in this particular description box. So if you want to read ahead, be my guest. And then, it'll just help us move ahead and with better understanding. So thank you for subscribing, and we'll talk with you later. Take care. Bye-bye.